Well, hi everyone, it's Marcus and welcome to more Zooming in the Jungle Room. Today I am speaking to Rebecca Meston. She is from a brand new show that's about to hit Adelaide very soon. When I say hit Adelaide, no pun intended, because the show is called Hits. I need to read my little bit of wording here because a theatrical love letter to the music that saved you and set your teenage soul on fire. Rebecca, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's so great to be in the jungle.
Oh
Finally, I'm
my God,
here.
I love the jungle. That title could well be the longest title I've ever read out, and I'm okay with that. Tell me, like hits. What is the show all about?
The show is about how music can save you, get you through, uh, be with you in your hardest, darkest, loneliest moments. That's kind of like, I guess, um, what it's really about. But it's also about a young girl called Rhiannon who's 15, which is sort of from my research and own experience, 15 is a really tricky time to be alive. And she is living out in the outer regions of Adelaide. Um, any direction you want to go, she's living outside of the CBD, very, very far away. She lives with her mother, and it's 1992. And her kind of, I guess, diet of music is very much kind of yacht rock. It's dad rock. It's easy listening. It's music that's come to her from a very mainstream radio station. It's pre-internet, which is important to stress. So she doesn't have access to music. It's just not at the tip of her fingers, as it wasn't for many of us that know what it's like pre-internet. And so she has no idea of a kind of world outside of suburban Adelaide, the music that's coming through the radio. When she's at school, the only thing kids are really talking about is what was on Hey Hey It's Saturday, how funny is Dickie Nee, that kind of thing. And so she's really kind of she's a bit, yeah, she's lost in more ways than one. And one day she happens to chance upon this underground record store, kind of like how Big Star used to be on Rundle Street back in the day, if you remember. And she meets Susie, who is a music store manager by day, but she's a punk musician by night. And this meeting plunges her into this kind of punk riot girl Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland situation, and she has this massive awakening because she's never like met or seen or heard anybody like this before, and she kind of provides this gateway drug. Don't do drugs, kids. A gateway drug to all kinds of other music, particularly female-driven music that she's just never had access to. And she hasn't found her tribe at all, but this music kind of opens her up to all these other experiences. And she gets thrown a ticket to the big day out in 1993, and goes to the big day out, which really does crack open a whole other world for her. And that big day out is brought to life by a chorus of 12 young people who are all first year drama students at Flinders Drama Centre. And they are fantastic, and they kind of bring that world to life. So we are at the Space Theatre, and we are transforming that theatre into a festival space, a gig space, as well as, the kind of world of a teenage girl going through some times. Hope that
How,
gives you a good summary.
I love that summary. That was great. I feel like you've just like wrapped up all of my questioning now.
Oh, sorry, I can say
No,
more.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Hey, so how would you best describe the show? What genre does it fit, do you think?
I mean, it's kind of like a merge between new original Australian writing with um, uh, atmospheric, feel it in your toes music gig. I often ask people to kind of get them in the mood of this show is, do you remember the first gig you ever went to without like a parental figure? So maybe you went with an older sibling, but you kind of had that experience of live music without someone looking over you. You know what I mean? And whenever I ask that question, people kind of go, even if they're 18 or they're 80, they sort of go to a different place in their mind and think about what that felt like and how music kind of moved through your body. And there's just something so exhilarating about that. And so I'm trying to create that experience so that it's not theatre where you have to sit down and be very quiet and, you know, go to another place. It's very experiential. So it's like a mashup between, yeah, gig and, you know, a theatrical experience as well.
Well, Rebecca Meston, I mean, you've literally set my next question. I need to ask you now, what was the first gig you ever went to?
Oh, it can be embarrassing, can't it?
It
I
can
mean,
be.
I hope there's no judgment. I hope there's no
Oh,
judgment.
yeah.
But I'm gonna show my age here, but I don't care. It was actually U2, the U2 Zoo TV tour in 1993, and I went with my older brother James, who's now a musician himself, and we happened to, I don't know how this happened, but we managed to get like right down the front so that we were right in front of the Edge. And so when the Edge just started playing his guitar, I wasn't even a fan, by the way. I'm still not really, but something about being in front of these musicians, and it was like, if your listeners and your fans and your viewers don't know, it was like full massive screens. There were cars on stage. It was kind of like that first big gig extravaganza that bands were doing at that time. And I think it was at Football Park. So it was like stadium rock, right? And there was just something about being in that surround sound right in front of the stage. And I was like, what's happening to my body? I don't know. Something's happening. His guitar is like going through my body. And yeah, I was quite young at the time, and so I was transported. And it's never, even when I hear I think Zoo Station was the first song they played. Whenever I hear that song now, I'm like that young girl with my brother and us looking at each other like, what is happening? How did we get here? Like I don't even know. I didn't even know who I was anymore. It's that kind of thing. What about you, though? I have to ask you.
Oh, okay. No, you know what? Mine, I remember in a flash because it transformed my life. I actually saw my very first show. I'll tell you who it is. And then 2 weeks later, I saw my second show, and those two performances changed my life. First one was Midnight Oil. I thought seeing Peter Garrett on stage, you know, doing his moves and the way he engaged with the audience was just incredible. And then, like I said, backed up 2 weeks later with Tina Turner doing the Break Every Rule tour, which was just insane. And if those two shows didn't change my life, nothing else was going to. It was madness.
Yeah,
Just brilliant. So that was my
yeah,
experience of live music.
that's incredible. And so, like, different, but also like both, like, you know, peak musicians, you know, or the band as well. But meeting Peter Garrett at that time
Oh,
would have been amazing.
madness.
Yeah.
Hey, so what are some of the bangers that we can expect in the show?
Oh, that's tricky. Do I give it away?
No, don't give away too much. Give us maybe
I don't
one
want
or
to give up too much. I mean, they are bangers. My sound designer is Jason Sweeney, who is just a magician. And we nerd out all the time about music.
yeah.
I will say this. So it's set at the Big Day Out in 1993, like I said, and I have been trying to get as much information from anyone that was at the Big Day Out at Adelaide Uni in 1993. That Big Day Out, for your nerdy music listeners like me, Iggy Pop was the headliner, right? Iggy Pop was the headliner, but so was Sonic Youth. So Sonic Youth features in this show, all APRA rights approved, let me tell you. But because so we're being very loyal to the Age and the music festival, but at the same time, each of my four main characters, so Rhiannon, who's 15, Susie, who's my rock punk chick, Linda is Rhiannon's mum, and then we have DJ Barry, who is like a kind of a blur between Jeremy Cordo, kind of some of the great radio DJ disc jockeys of our time. And they kind of have their theme music, their entry music, right? So Linda is very much yacht rock, soft rock. So kind of like she likes Lionel Richie, you know, and a lot of saxophone. DJ Barry is of that kind of realm, like kind of, soft rock, likes to refer to Cliff Richard and Barry Manilow a lot. And then Susie, who is like, she's all about guitar and punk and referencing Bikini Kill, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Rhiannon is sort of like, she's the product of dad rock and yacht rock, but she's sort of entering into Riot Girl kind of music as well. So it's really like the original title, speaking of long titles, was Hits of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then I have cut it right down to an Elegant Hits. But the reason it references those eras is it's a kind of a throwback to radio stations that are like, and you're back to 101 point whatever, hits of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But also because it kind of charts those 3 decades. We're in the 90s, but we have a lot of like 70s and 80s kind of wafting around as well.
So who's the show directed towards? Like, who was your audience?
So my audience front and center would be Gen X, running the full gamut of where you were born in that Gen X spectrum. But I've been developing this show for 4 years, and through working with a lot of young artists who are, don't maybe even know what the big day out is anymore. Like their closest reference is Splendor in the Grass. When I talk about the concepts of the show, what was your first gig? Everything lights up the same. So yes, I have references to Hey Hey It's Saturday, and cars that no longer exist anymore. But the actual heart of the show about music and how it gets you through, that is ageless. So young people are going to resonate with this, and also they're going to be seeing a chorus of 12, 18-year-olds on stage as well, being my teen spirit. But also, people Gen X, like younger boomers, I reckon, would love it. That's a target audience as well. And then everything in between. I mean, it's 14 and up, so there's definitely some swearing and some drug references in there.
That happens in life, So, I mean, what I failed to say earlier was, of course, you've written the show and you actually direct the show as well. And Laughter Through the Tears Productions are behind it. Also in association with the Adelaide Festival Centre. So just incredible things going on with this show. I'm going to say the title again. It's called Hits, a theatrical love letter to the music that saved you and set your teenage soul on fire. I am coming along to it. I cannot. Yeah. It's going to be from the 3rd to the 6th of July, 2024, as we said, at the Adelaide Festival Centre in the Space Theatre, which is going to be totally transformed over the course of those 3 days. How excited are you to finally get it out there for everyone here in Adelaide?
I'm really excited. It's it's not an autobiographical show, but it's a show that's close to my heart because I've grown up in a very musical family, and I love music. So even though it's a play, it's theatre, it's definitely about a topic that I really care about a lot. the title Hits, yeah, it's just Hits, the title, and then it's got that subtitle, which is just about, yeah, being a love letter, no matter what, you know. And I'm excited about it because I feel like the themes within it, you know, just as important, yeah, whether you're older or you're younger. When I drive to work, I often see 15-year-olds waiting for the bus with their, you know, ear pods in, and that's like, this show is for you, you know, as much as it's for anybody. What was I going to say to you? Oh, the other thing I wanted to say about how excited I am is I'm really aware of how hard things are right now, globally and locally. It's hard for the arts, it's hard for artists. This show really is, there's a lot of joy and heart and soul in it. So I think, you know, audiences will just have pleasure, like coming for the 1 hour and 20 minutes that they're in the theatre. So I'm excited to be able to give a gift of pleasure, you know, to an audience. Like, I care about that a lot. And for anyone that loves music, I know you do. That's cool. Like, I love that. Like, anyone that loves music comes into the rehearsal room and they're like, yeah, this is cool, you know? So
Aside
it's fun. It's
aside from pleasure, is there a message that is behind the show that you want people to walk away with?
Yeah, so the other thing that runs is a kind of undercurrent through the play is the fact that women are everywhere but nowhere in the music industry. And I'm really conscious of that. And it was a big inspiration for the show 4 or 5 years ago when I started writing this, is the fact that every time I see a festival bill lineup, I'm not really seeing as many women or female identifying artists as I would like to. And there's been a lot of research and articles that have been published in the last 4 years about how when males and females are in school and they're studying music, it's often 50-50 participation rates. Yep. But as soon as they head into the music industry, that becomes really, that ratio shifts dramatically, and females edge out of the music industry even though they're phenomenally talented. And so the character of Susie really kind of carries that theme through. She's the musician who writes, produces, manages everything, controls everything in her career, but has a lot of other male figures coming in trying to destroy or compromise that control. And we definitely don't shy away from that. With that character in particular. And then Rhiannon being a young woman wanting to enter into this world, and sort of seeing, I guess, yeah, what's behind the curtain, features as well.
Rebecca, I'm so looking forward to the show and I cannot wait to meet you. I think we'd have a good old chat together. We can talk about music forever, I'm sure of it. But like we said, the show is called Hits. It runs from the 3rd to the 6th of July at the Space Theatre at the Adelaide Festival Centre. We've been speaking to the writer and director of the show, Rebecca Meston. Please, everyone, go and get your tickets. Come out and support this incredible show. And hopefully I'm going to see you right there. And Rebecca, I will definitely see you there.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. And we'll speak to you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.